Here's People's Keishan Prince. Today we're going to talk about the modern day box-to-box midfielder. Let's go. So many have asked for this video, and here it is. I want to give my breakdown and a box-to-box midfielder in today's modern day game, and how you need to have certain key attributes, as we were speaking, in every position so far, from attacking to the midfielder area. Now, I spoke about Cam last week, we're talking about centre mid this week, and we're going to be breaking down the technical, physical and the psychological aspect that you need to have to be successful in today's game. So before we go forward, make sure you like, subscribe and follow. Before we go forward, make sure you do that, please, and let's get going. So in today's game, we've got Jude Bellingham, who's probably the best box-to-box midfielder today in terms of stats, what he's able to do, and his consistency in his position. And at the young age, he's a generational talent, or coming up to be a generational talent already, and he's doing really superb in that position. Well, we've got Luka Modric, we've got Gundogan in this position, we've got Thiago, Kante, we've got De Jong, we've got Granit Xhaka, we've got Gavi, we've got NB at Inter, brilliant player, and there's so much other centre midfielders, but these guys just off the top of my head who are doing really well in these positions. Now, in the definition, before we go about the key attributes and the different subheadings of each technical, psychological and physical, the definition of a box-to-box midfielder, basically in a nutshell, is somebody who's able to play end-to-end of the game. Their home is in the midfield, but you are also required to do defensive and offensive attacking responsibility. You can drop back into defensive situations, intercept, tackle, block, and also be able to carry the ball and be very accessible. We know past times, Steve G, Yaya Toure, Frank Lampard, the list goes on. Patrick Vieira in the Premier League has done superb in playing the position. You have to be the heart and soul of the football team. To be fair, if I'm looking at a box-to-box midfielder today, you are literally a leader. You are literally a leader. You lead. That's why Granit Xhaka, we know he's the captain, even though he hasn't got the armband, because the way he leads the team when he plays is tremendous. It's very contagious. Him and Partey is very key to Arsenal's successful triumph in the Premier League. And so when you play in this position, you got to understand you're a leader. The leadership qualities has to be very strong. You can't be in the midfield in a battle where it is most of the time and be soft-hearted. You've got to be hard. You've got to be going in there thinking this is war. So when you're looking at the midfield and how the game's progressed and how it's evolved, today's game, many coaches have chose to play with defensive midfielders, doubling up on a pivot. So like, for example, Arsenal, they will however have two holding midfielders as opposed to having two flat centre midfielders. So they've got Partey and Shevchenko, or whoever drops inside, depending on the side they're playing in. So one of the key consequences of these developments has been declining presence of this box-to-box midfielder because of that. Box-to-box midfielders, because of the formation now, 4-4-2, flat 4-4-2, you are more prominent to be able to do both ends. Now the game started to change. You have a different role. With Arsenal, you got Granit Xhaka doing the more of the forward run, overlapping. He's the third runner over past Gabriel Jesus. That's where he's got to be able to provide so much goals this season. So let's look at the technical requirements to play in position. So number one thing you must have technically is the ability to dribble. You got to be able to carry the ball. One thing you can look at this video from Jude Bellingham is his ability to carry the ball, and he's strong and powerful. And that's one of the key things that I see today in a lot of non-league teams, that a lot of centre box-to-box midfielders can't do. And that's why most managers say, well, he's got to be strong and powerful. When they're saying that, you've got to be able to be a great ball carrier. You've got to be very good at gaining yardage with the team. You've got to be strong and carrying the ball, and that's something that you got to improve on. Number two, you've got to be able to play key passes. Passing ability has to be on point. You got to play right foot, left foot. This is one position where you've got to be able to be both footed. You have to be able to play right foot, left foot, first time passes, outside of the boot, combinations. You got to have good passing ability. Number three, you got to be able to have great shooting ability from distance. So if you're struggling to hit shots from 20 yards, 18 yards, then that's one side of the game that you probably need to work on. Because there's times like right now, for example, Thomas Partey, he's a holding midfielder, but he scored two great bangers, as you know, this season from outside the box. Granit Xhaka, as you know, is known for hitting the ball outside the box. Most of the goals that Jude Bellingham scored has been outside of the box. So you need to have the ability to shoot from outside. Number 4, you need to have great tackling ability, knowing how to tackle on the slide. You know, tackling is a technical skill that has to be worked on. Many people say, no, it's not. You can, no, listen, it's a technical skill. It's like dribbling, tackling. It's something that you can master and get really good at. Some players don't like to tackle today because we've got this ideal now that, you know, if tackle's the last ditch option. But sometimes I tell players to put a tackle in just to set the tone of the game, to say, listen, I'm here to play. And if you're not that guy, say, no, I don't like to get my shorts dirty because I don't want to get no mud up my leg, then midfield is not for you. If you look at the Premier League back in, you know, the Arsenal and United days when he used to clash at Highbury, them man there had mud from top to bottom. It was a very liquid advert when they used to play. Top to bottom, mud up. Today, guys don't want to get up, you know, they want to get their boots dirty. Listen, tuck in your shirt and get grounded. You're going to have to tackle and master the ability to tackle cleanly and successfully. Next one is also interceptions and blocks. I'll put those two together. You need to know how to position your body to block shots. Also, this is important because a lot of players, especially today's game, have to be able to say, I need to be a barrier between them taking a shot on goal and them scoring. I have to be able to stand, put my body in the line. And that's something that you've got to be willing to do. You've got to be a general in the centre midfield. You have to be. The next one, we're going to look at the mind, the psychological part of the game. You need to have superb decision making in the attacking half. You got to know when to pass, when to press, when to recycle the ball, when to play through, when to, you know, recycle again to go back, when to set. You got to be great on the pivot as well. You have to know when to press, when are the signals to go forward. Number 2, you need to have good spatial awareness in the tackle third, and progressive passes as well, being progressive passes received. You understand? You need to have great spatial awareness in this area. You need to know, okay, if the ball's on this side, I need to be here to create an angle. You know, that's one thing, but again, about Granit Xhaka, he's great at is being able to have that good spatial awareness when the ball's been recycled, that he can quickly shift it out to Martinelli if need be. Next is you need to have good intelligence and timing of box run. So you need to know when are the goal signals. The goal signals should be, for example, if the winger on the left hand side has the ball and he's standing up his defender, you need to know when to progress or push on to get the ball past that guy. You understand? And some midfielders today, they don't want to do it because one thing, they don't have the stamina, and I'm going to talk about that later. The next one is recovery runs. So when we're talking about fitness for box-to-box midfielder, you need to do something I did once I was at Basingstoke when I was playing there to get my fitness up. Oh my. Next also is the pressure. You need to know when to press the team, have good pressing ability, knowing how to keep a space. I know there's a lot of details I'm giving, guys, but this is the box-to-box midfielder. Literally, it's a lot. It's not easy. And then you need to have good aerial duels. Even if you can't win a header, knowing that just your body jumping up with him is enough to probably put him off just by a little bit. And that's why I told players, even if a guy's bigger than you, still jump up. If you can get under his hip, that's enough just to push him off just a little bit. Yeah, but he's bigger than me, taller than me. Yeah, but just jump. If you jump, it makes him think about you. That's the first thing he's thinking. Next one, clearances, clearance ability, first time clearance ability. This is I don't know why I put that on the mind, to be fair. It should be a technical, or it could be both. This is important because I'm telling you this, I've seen people clear the ball and it's hit their hands and literally it's, you know, or they've kicked it backwards and it's gone for a corner. You need to master this ability to clear the ball forward. And we're going to look at the physical aspect.